Hey guys, this is Kathy with JLB Channel. Today we are going to be doing checking out several different websites so that you can, if you want to, I've already given you the basics of chasing your family. So if you want to chase your families more, here is some sites that can give you some more information. Now, some of them I will tell you about has price tags attached to them. Some of them I tell you about will not, and I'll let you know which ones is which. So come along with me as we discover some new websites, some that I've been to before and some that I have just recently discovered. So let's get in and check this out. Okay, we're going to share our screen. Okay, we'll put this down. All right, so let's bring up Family Tree. We'll bring up the original here. This is just what you get if you purchase the Family Tree program, this is what you will start with. You can, if you already have an existing tree somewhere, you can bring that in, file. You can browse through here, or if you know the file location, you can pull it up here. I went through and decided to put mine in again from beginning. You can download a tree from Ancestry. So if you know a specific tree that you want to do, you could do that. Download a tree from Family Search. We have to be logged in to Family Search, which is easy enough to do. And then if you have it in your cloud services, we'll just see it starts at $150 a month. So we can work with that if we want to. But I am going to open my Johnson family today. I was looking for different people. Today we are going to continue on the Tony side, and we're going to go down to William. Let's see, where is William? William, let's see. There we go. This is Grandpa Tony. This is Grandma Tony. And you just keep going back and back and back, however far you can go. But today's tutorial is going to be on going to your browser, whichever one you use, it doesn't matter. And I have these already saved in my favorites and my genealogy program. So we're going to go to Genealogy Trails. It's at genealogytrails.com. If you want to search a particular county, you can put WVA / whatever county. I do Fayette County, so that's where I'm going to be looking at today. It tells you who is keeping the site open. And if you have anything you'd like to have posted, just email her. And they just keep on. We could do a volunteer page, which I might do later on. So, they don't have a host. Okay. So what we're going to do is we can look through these different sites like biographies. You would have to know your person's name that you're looking for, but it's interesting to look up different names that people have already put on here. We have a Dillon, a Hamilton, and they have their whole story. So if your family is one of those families, this would be an excellent source for finding information on your particular family. So see here, we've only got 3 biographies. So I need to get in here and really work on this. Cemeteries. These are all the cemeteries in Fayette County. And some of them will, if you see them headlighted, they will show you some stuff on them. But this is the names of the cemeteries. We have people in the Bibb Cemetery. Let's see. They don't have all the cemeteries. Oh, that's so sad. They don't have all the cemeteries. So I will definitely have to contact this lady and see what it takes to do stuff. We have county records, post offices. It'll tell you all about the post offices that are in. Some of them are still active. Some of them are gone. We have all different kinds of them, so you would be able to know. It also goes to history topics, which this right here, the grave of Julia Beckwith Neal Jackson Woodson was the mother of Stonewall Jackson, and she's buried in the Westlake Cemetery. So you can find information about her. This is all in good information. If you ever go to the Westlake Cemetery in Ansted, you'll be able to look up her particular gravesite. And it says on it, the mother of Stonewall Jackson. Okay, so then we're going to go back. Fayette County history excerpts. This is just stuff that I guess is in the Fayette County history book, History of Fayette County, printed in 1926. I really need to look at this because I have the 1991 version. I'd like to see what is different. This is just all about different. There's 1,900 families like this. Bailey Wood, William Parrish, both of those are in our family. So yeah, this would be a definite one I wanted to get the information off of. So, all right. I'm just doing this so that you guys can know where to look for stuff. Military records. They got them from 1835, 1883. World War I casualties are all listed in there in Fayette County. Obituaries, and that would be certain people have put the obituaries in this. Let's see. I believe this Sarah E. Chris is in our family. It would be interesting to have somebody to be able to put a whole lot of new information inside this particular thing for people to research. Census records, we have the 1880 pensioners, and for ed districts, 1940. Death records, you can search them by letters. And of course, you know, this isn't going to be everybody because there is so many people in those books when you look at them. And you just keep going I'm sorry, I'm going so fast. Let me slow down for you. In case you see one of the names that you might want to look this up for. It gives you their name and their date of death. Look at all the halls. A lot of them. So whoever put this in must have been the hall. Here's holidays or holidays in their book. But this, it probably is our George, and it's actually holiday and not Halliday. But sometimes when these people wrote these things back in the day, the handwriting was hard to decipher later on. It's like me trying to handwrite something really quick. It's back when, if you research it, back when they first started, it was really good. And then as they got older and more into it, it became a little bit more harder to decipher. Here's a whole bunch of Hamiltons. Hamlets. If you're wondering, I'm looking to see if there might be a Hankins in here. Probably not. I would venture to say because I don't know who put these names in. Yep, there's an Amanda, Albert, Amanda, Ballard, Bertha, Lula, and I think that's her. I think that's Louisa Alice. I think so. All right, so there you go. I guess it's different cemeteries, different people. So we'll go back. And you could do any of these letters. You know, say you wanted to look up the Tonys. You could go into the T's. I'm going to slide down all the way to the TOs. Tolliver, Tomlin, Tony. Look at all these Tonys. Yes, a lot of these names I know. So see, you could this would be, you could use this site as your source reference. If you know the name and you know the approximate date, you can now use this as your source reference to confirm the information that you have found. Okay. Let's see. Then there's marriages. You can, early marriages. From the History of Fayette County, published in 1926. And see, you would want to look for the groom's name or the bride's name, depending on who you're looking for. Sometimes you're more apt to find it under the bridesmaid maiden name because the families will be, you'll know the parents of the girl, but you won't know who she married. Or you may know her last name, but not his, or his last name, but not his first name. Like this William Legge and Elizabeth Ramsey. Those are in the family. So you would be, it's going to be interesting to go back through and use this as a source reference for what I have in my thing. These are the 1867 forward, and they've got a different setup. Like these are all the H's. So now you're running into the H's. These are the ones that they knew that got married. It's all relevant of who is putting the information into these sites. I don't know what a new gleaning is, but it's accidents and injuries. So I guess if somebody got hurt and they knew about it, they would put this in the, I guess it would be out of a newspaper. That's cool. Community news, court news, crime news, county government news, fire, floods, train wrecks, and other disasters. So see now that this is the Golly Bridge that was burned down there during the Civil War, or just before the Civil War. Courthouse and jail destroyed in Clarksburg. The Carlisle mine disaster. So see, there is a whole lot of different information. It's not a full gambit. Nobody has the full gambit. That's why I'm giving you all the different websites in order for you to be able to go through. That way you can get in and look for yourself and see what information you're looking for. Previous updates. So see, these is when it was all updated. Pam's underneath me, wallering around. Also, see, it's been updated in 24. This was all put in 22, so that is good. Okay, so now we're going to come out of that one, and now we will go into, I just put these, if you want to know how to do this so you can find them again, simply go to your favorite site, and it'll tell you whatever it is you're looking at. It'll put that up there, and then you can decide which folder you want to go into. You can drop it down, put it into whatever folder you want, and then you can go over. That's the one star at the end of the search bar. This is the other star. It looks like it's flying away, and then you can therefore find your stuff. I put mine all under genealogy information. Scottish, Irish, and Virginia, because we are, this is now, it's saying this one is, you can look for a specific something, start your search at Ancestry, use our Roots Web hosted website index, and a source, a guide to American genealogy. There we go. It tells you how to look up stuff, how to do stuff, all these different things that you can look up. This is going to be cool. See, I've looked through all this stuff at one time and got all the information that I needed at that current date. But I've been finding a lot of new information and adding a little new things. And I want to add in historical things that was going on at the time that my particular ancestors were here in Fayette County, what was going on in the little community they lived in, what was going on in the county they were lived in the state they lived in the country, and then in the world. So what would they sit around their dinner table and talk about? What was it? What would be interesting to sit around your coffee table and talk about? So once I get all 10 of my generations in, I will probably do a coffee table talk book that can tie in the people and when they were born. So, because people would be sitting around their coffee table talking about the new birth that's coming up, or somebody that had passed away, or somebody that has an upcoming marriage that they may want to go to. It's not like today, not like everybody gets an invitation and stuff. They just went to a preacher somewhere and got married. That was as simple as. They didn't have a big elaborate reception. They didn't go into debt so hard that they couldn't afford to do anything else. They got married. They started a family. They grew up. They had their kids grew up. Sometimes they passed away. Sometimes sickness come in. Sometimes they had accidents. So those are interesting things that you would sit around a dinner table and talk about. So that might be coming. If you'd like to see something like that, let me know. We can discuss as we're going through what we would want to include in that book. Christy is very good at writing books, so she could help me up with the index to keep me focused. That's where my problem is. I have so much information in my head. I need to be focused on a set things because it would be a series of books. You would have to go the 10th generation. What were they talking about? Which would bring in the 11th and beyond generations, but I don't want to go back that far. 10th generation is plenty. And then bring it forward. Okay, so the next one is going to be, let's try this one. Okay, so this one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you could go in and put any name in there that you want. Like I have Johnson in Virginia, and there's 108,003 records. Now, if I want to view these records, I have to come up with or sign in for a free 7-day membership. I don't currently want to do that because I have a lot of information. So for me, going and hunting all this information that you have to pay for would simply be only for the website, only for the confirmation. And mine, for the most part, all of my stuff already have source details, at least 3. So I'm not going to pay for anything at this moment. If this channel takes off and I get the views that I would like to have and it starts making money on its own, then I will definitely get into these websites and I will be able to search for anything that they want to look for. However, at this point, that's not what I've got in current plans. Okay, so now we're going to go back here, go back to genealogy information and bring up old historical. This is a cool one. This is called mapgeeks.org, and this is in Virginia, so you could see what the map looks. Say, let's look at the 1630 map. Now, it's going to want you to do this. You do not need to connect through Facebook. This is what Virginia looked like in 1630. Is that not amazing? Is that not something that you would want to know as you're going through checking out stuff? then you can look to see, do I recognize anything here? This says Chesapeake Bay, although it's spelled Chefapeack Bay. So we have crossed that in our lifetime. And there is a lot of different areas. A lot of our people, because I count you my family, a lot of our people came from Virginia, came from Pennsylvania. Some of them even came from New York. And as they got over here and they made a living for themselves and they traveled into a new area. So you can see all the mountains. See, they even put all the mountains and stuff. You can see all the mountains and stuff that they have written on this. So we can go back and say we want to see, this is the 1776 map. So what was going on? See, now they've got the map drawers have gotten a better idea of how they're doing. This is Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and this is Virginia. So there, I mean, it is amazing to see. And this is North Carolina. So they got quite a bit. My question is, how did they, without drones, how did they know it looked like this? I mean, really, how did they know that? Now, it's proved out over the course of time that, yes, this is how it looks because we have satellites from space, so we can see that. We have airplanes in the sky, so they can see. But how did they know then? They didn't have any of that stuff. So for me, that's a fascinating point. It wouldn't be something they would talk around the dinner table because they didn't know. They just simply assumed that the map people knew how to do their job and did it. So they would, if they had access to this map, they could know where they were going. Probably pretty much of the world didn't have it, but the people that did have it kept it. So now we can look back on a period in time in 1776 when we're getting ready to sign the Declaration of Independence, and we can see how Virginia looked, how Maryland looked, how New Jersey looked. And like I said, now we can fly a satellite over and see this. And for the most part, not identical, so don't yell at me in the comments, but you can see. And this is fascinating. I'm going to show Dean this website because Dean really likes maps. Okay, so then we can go. This is another one for 1776 and another one. That's 1795. So let's see how far this goes down. See, now we have the whole thing that they've gotten in for the whole state. This was the whole state of Virginia before West Virginia actually became its own little state. So this is what Virginia looked like. This is, I mean, it has a whole lot of the names. It has the counties at that time that were broken up into counties so that each little county government could take care of itself. So while I think this is absolutely fascinating, and how did they decide what zones they were going to take for West Virginia? How did we get the shape that we have now? Interesting comments. All right. So we're going to go on. Let's see. Let's go down there. You can see 1845, 1856, 1870 should now show. If it comes up, guys, yeah, it now shows how they divided West Virginia from Virginia. And then give this little teeny tiny peek to Maryland. So now that shows you the differences in the maps. Again, I say at that time they didn't have airplanes, so they couldn't go over and see how the land was made. They didn't have drones where they could fly to where they could see what was going on. They didn't have satellites. So How did they know? And it's exactly the way we have it, or pretty close to the way we have it today. I'm just tickled that they did it. All right, so now we're going to go out of this one and go into the next one. And the next one that I have is this index to Greenbrier history. You can go into the parent and it just tells you, and it's a 2 only has a certain amount of, let's see. This is in Greenbrier County, so I'm not really sure of any of these, but since it says Kincaid, let's pull up the Kincaid and see if there's any of them here that at this point, no, but it's interesting to know that there is a Kincaid. There's Samuel Kincaid, the son of Samuel Kincaid Sr., the original owner of this property and one of 4 of Alexander Kincaid, 4 sons of Alexander Kincaid, believed to have immigrated from Scotland to the British colonies in 1746 after the Battle of Culloden. His father, Samuel, may have also been buried here, as his death coincided closely with the acquisition of the land, but there is less reason to believe so. Due to the ravages of the weather, one of the cemeteries as a horse pen and past destructive clearing of heavy brush in order to make it accessible to the horses, these 12 old stones are lost forever. As soon will be the remaining stones. This is a tragic loss in the making due to apparent lack of respect for historic cemetery. And that happens today. There are so many people. I had a live last night on Facebook and we discussed the different holidays and the meanings of the holidays. And I learned a lot of things that I did not know. And obviously the people that were watching me also learned a few things. So it's really important that you may not adhere to everything that is in history, but you really need to have a small amount of respect for it. Just because it doesn't affect you at this point in time does not mean it did not affect your grandparents or your great-grandparents in their time. So just be just a small bit respectful of where you're at and what you're doing. Like, don't go out in the middle of the woods and find a cemetery and have yourself a big old beer party, destroying all the area around those cemeteries. That's not nice. Find you someplace that doesn't have that. So that's just my take on it all. And then they have, let's see, you can do censuses, church, court, history. Let's see what history has to say about Thru. Oh my goodness, they got a whole ton of history. All about how the Indian, the whole thing about history about Virginia, which will be very interesting. So I will make a mental note to come back to this and to make sure that I get the pertinent information out of this that I would need should I decide to do a dinner table book. All right, so they have a story about Cornstalk, Bailey, Stewart, and W.S. Signal. So that it would be interesting to learn. Then they have things about the land, military, newspapers, obituaries, photos. Let's see what photos they have. Let's see. This is of tombstones, of Riverview, of McCormick. There's no picture involved in that. That must have been before they could put pictures on. Okay. So now that is that one. And let's see. History of Fayette County. I have the History of Fayette County, 2 different books. One 1993 and the other one is a more recent book. So I am Oops, see, you can't get to that one. So I need to take that one out of my list, which is easily done. Let me show you how to do that. History of Fayette County can now be deleted. You don't have to worry about going back to that site because that site does not exist. But maybe during the next tutorial on JLB, I'll set the camera up and we'll walk through some of the Fayette County history book that I have. I think that would be interesting because, you know, one of them I still have post-it noted for all the details that are in my direct family. So, you know, although you may not be kin to me personally, I have found out even when I worked at the park that a lot of people that have roots in this area in Fayette County, Greenbrier, Monroe, Braxton, Nicholas, Summers, all those counties, Kanawha, we can have a similar ancestor that can tie us all together. Because I used to work at the Hawks Nest Park at the front desk, and I would talk to several of the guests that comes in. And it wasn't very long before we were like distant cousins. So it's a fun thing to learn because then you can talk, you know, you can get into a conversation with just about anybody about history. And while the young ones think history is a bunch of bull, they're making history in thinking that. What they don't realize is today's now present is going to be tomorrow's history. Do you want to go down as one of the people that nobody wants to remember? Or do you want to go down as somebody that people would really like to read your story? Would they be interested in anything that happened? Or would they constantly just think you as a troublemaker? And let's don't be troublemakers. Okay, so that is it. This is the West Virginia Archives, was also comes up. I've showed you this one before. You can go into the State Archives, the History Center, Records and Management. You know, all this stuff is, it's all based on what somebody else has put in. Okay. So if you want to become a person that researches this, just look up West Virginia Culture Agencies, and there you come up with archives and history. And that is where everything is. You can go in and hunt a lot of different things, see a lot of different things. So whatever you're looking for, the state archives, you can go into that. And you can find information. Look, they've got all this stuff. Guides to collections, Civil War medals, original county records. All this stuff is here. Let's go into maps in this one and see what they have here. Okay, so accurate map of the province of Virginia in North America. So let's bring it up. Let's see if it comes up. Because I don't want you to have to go to these websites and then say, she didn't know what the hell she's talking about. All I want you to do is to see if these things come up for you so that you can see them. And see, here we go. There's all kinds of maps. So it just depends on what you're interested in, what you want to, what strikes your fancy. As we found out last night, a simple thing as the holidays can give you a new perspective on a lot of things. Now, you can still sit and scroll on your phone. I don't have a problem with that. I scroll on my phone. Timmy scrolls on his phone. But at some point in time, you're going to have to say, is history important to me? And even if your history is not important to you, the history that your great-grandkids are going to be involved in, listening to, knowing about, are they going to find your name on the good side of history or the bad side of history? So always remember, when you're doing stuff that you know probably isn't the smartest move, you probably shouldn't do it. I'm not going to give you a lecture on it. That's up to you. Your choices is your choices. You will make what you want. But So that is that particular day in tutorial land for genealogy. I don't just do my genealogy, although I can. Anybody that wants to have a one-on-one Zoom meeting with me so that you can see inside what I have for a particular person, please just, send me an email or send me actually, you'd have to send me the information on how to hook up two people together for a Zoom meeting. I know how to use Zoom, and I'm assuming that if I set it up and I send you the link, then we can hook up, but I don't know that. So if anybody knows, please feel free to put that in the comments below. And just look at all of the information. If you're a historian out there, or you're a wannabe historian, and that's what I call genealogy. I don't call it boring facts. I call it fascinating finds. You become the new Sherlock Holmes. You become the person that says, okay, this person is my grandfather. This person is my great-grandfather. This is my great-grandfather on my mother's side. What would they be sitting around if they lived in the same community? They might go to dinner together, or it wouldn't be like we go to dinner today. Somebody would come to your house and you would have dinner fixed, and you'd sit down around the dinner table and you would just chit chat. Back in the day, it would be the men eat first, then the women, and then the kids. Now, when me and Timmy got married, we switched that up because we always felt like the kids eat first, get them settled and out of the way, and then we eat. So just a difference in opinion, difference in generations, difference in the way, and don't judge them for what happened in the past. That's not a good idea. You weren't there. You weren't in their shoes. You do not know what they went through to get to those decisions that they made. You can only use what you feel was wrong with what they did to make you a better person. I have seen everything in my genealogy search, and they're fascinating stories. Fascinating stories, from the strength of a woman who fought a bear because she had a ham for her kids and Sunday dinner. She fought him and she kept that ham, but she lost her hand. He ate the hand instead. So anyway, those are fascinating stories that will come out in the book. I get stuff together, and I'm getting excited about doing it from a history angle. I have to do a lot of research on the time frame that they lived. I'm just going to put in history from what? I could put history in my lifetime from 1958 to 1920 or 2025. What is the main history? What would we sit around and talk about? Right now, we can talk about anything and everything under the sun because it's all on that phone. All on that phone. However, back in the day, it didn't. If somebody didn't tell you the news, or you wasn't right there when it happened and seen it specifically, they'd be months and months and months go by. People wouldn't know anything. But they still were able to get up and go out and vote. Travel long distances to vote. So that's the way it goes. All right, well, I'm not going to keep you any longer. I think this has probably been about 20, 25 minutes worth of me chit-chatting. So I am going to let you go. Please check out any of these websites. If I can think about it, I will try to link them in the video when I get all that said and done, and see if we can make it easier for you to add them to your favorites list on the top. Remember, this is how you add it to your favorites list, and this is how you retrieve it after you've gotten it saved. Then look and see what is going on. A map of the city that your ancestors lived in. What did it look like in their time frame? Not what it looks like in ours. What did it look like in their time frame? And see if you can find one. Do a little bit of Sherlock Holmes. Do a little bit of digging. Do a little bit of having fun. And if you find information that you're willing to share with me, send it to kincaidspecialcreations@gmail.com. I'd love to listen. I'd love to hear it. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a done deal for today, and we'll see you next Thursday for another JLB installment. Bye-bye.